Hello, ladies and gentlemen, all of our very special friends here in Payne County. It's a weird time, and so a couple of weird priests are coming to you.
Whoa, speak for
this
yourself.
week's episode of Pastors of Payne. We're here in Payne County, Oklahoma. That's how we got the name of our little show. We are approaching, Father Kerry, our 100th episode.
Really?
Yes, I feel like we should have...
You've been able to blab for 100 episodes?
You're the blabber. I think we should have a some kind of party where everyone stands 6 feet apart and is only on their computer, and everyone just watches me eat cake.
Eat cake?
How does that sound?
That sounds delicious.
All right.
Delicious. We
are.
We're currently in the studio, maybe four.
But it's also
four.
They say like stay 6 feet apart from people you don't live with.
Oh, right. And so I have also some aerial spray that whenever he talks, I spray it at him.
It's like
Banaka.
From back in the early 90s.
When I walked into the studio today, I passed Jay and I did the scene from Dumb and Dumber.
Sneeze.
Oh, good. It gets in your sinuses. I did the scene
I'm seriously going to sneeze right now.
Really?
What is that?
It's Tony Smith's orange citrus hand sanitizer from Herbal Essence, I guess. So I sprayed it like Dumb and Dumber, where he's like trying to spray it in his mouth and he sprays it out the corner and gets Jay in the eyes.
Oh dear.
Yes. So.
Well, it's the COVID-19 lockdown / quarantine continues. It seems like day by day, week after week, it's sort of getting more constricted. It was kind of everybody just don't sneeze on people, and then don't come to Mass. No gatherings over 50. No gatherings over 10.
Yes.
Everybody stay home.
Now don't touch each other.
So it just seems to be more and more and more restrictive. But I mean, I think I've had very little pushback at the parish, but I support our bishop, but then bishops around the world who have really pulled back and as a way to protect their people,
right,
of not having Mass. But I'll tell you, I mean, I know it's hard on people. I've heard from people, they want to come to Mass. They want to receive the Eucharist. And I want, when I celebrate Mass, I mean, I want a full church. I want people to be there. And we've tried, I know you're doing a good job too, of like making things accessible as we can online. It just simply is not the same. And I think our people certainly recognize that. And as priests, we certainly recognize that. We're in a privileged place to still be able to celebrate Mass and receive the Eucharist. But it's much better when people are there.
There's a couple things that have just changed as I've been celebrating Mass. I've noticed that I have to talk a little slower because of the acoustics in the church, which has made me...
No bodies to absorb?
Yeah, there's no one to absorb the noise. So there's not 50 college students in the church for Tuesday 5 p.m. Mass. So, Mass is now at 9 a.m., and there's only the server there and a couple screens. So I've noticed I have to slow down and I have to pray the words a lot slower, which makes me think about them a lot more. And just it's like it's renewing my faith. Then just the love for the Holy Eucharist, that during this time of, in a way, I don't want to say it's a fast from the Holy Eucharist, but in a way it is.
It is. But imposed from without.
Right.
I mean, it's not for Lent, I'm giving up the Eucharist. No. We would never do that. So there is, I've heard people talk about kind of there's a solidarity here. I think especially in the West, I think especially in the United States, the Eucharist in normal times is very accessible to people. I mean, in Stillwater, there's multiple daily masses. There's multiple Sunday masses.
Correct. Eucharistic adoration
and confession. I mean, the sacraments are very available. There's multiple priests. If you need to be anointed, there's 3 of us to be able to cover that ground. But in much of the world, it's not like that. And so this is not, I don't think this is like God saying, see, I want you to know what it's like in the rest of the world. there are I think some lessons, some spiritual lessons that can be drawn out. Maybe that's an episode down the road of like when this is sort of coming to an end and we're able to look back, kind of the spiritual lessons that we've learned. And I feel like I'm learning new ones every day. It's weird. It's weird and it's hard. And so one thing we wanted to talk about today, what we both have tried in our own Father Kerry at St. John's, I think is in a very weird spot, and that is literally campus is closed. Everyone is gone.
And the buildings are starting to close, and the dorms are starting to close, and they're telling people, you got to find some place to go, even if you have no place to go. So I was just talking to a student who found a job in another town and moved to that town so to work in a hospital. They're helping patients. Like hospitals are hiring people. So this kid, 20 years old, can't go home, has no place to go, found an apartment in another city, and is going to do online school from there.
So what does ministry, maybe we could talk a little bit about, what does ministry look like when your church is closed?
Well, unemployment.
What are you doing?
Unemployment. At first I thought, oh my gosh, I'm totally unemployed. And I got text messages from people and say, you don't have to go back to work till August. And I thought, no, that's not what we're going to do. We're going to take all of this stuff and put it on the digital world. So now students have both, have a lot more work to do because it's different to do it. So it's requiring,
for sure,
they were in 16 hours of school and now it feels like 25 hours of school because they're having to do these things in a different way. And other students have less school to do. So students are now finding free time to meet. So I meet with students over the phone for spiritual direction, on FaceTime for spiritual direction. We have Zoom Bible studies, not Zoom like Zumba, but Zoom like the cameras, like zoom in. And students use Canvas on campus. They have those platforms for their classrooms. We just took everything, daily rosary at noon, 4 o'clock. We have Lectio Divina. The Focus Missionaries have a Zoom room where they do Lectio Divina with the students, and then students do Bible studies together. Some of them, because they're students in town, they'll do them outside on a patio and keep 6 feet away from each other. They're like got one guy in a chair on the grass, another guy on the patio. And so they're just like, okay, how can we continue growing on our relationship with Jesus? When they're watching Mass, I've been telling students through these little videos we're pushing out on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter to do the postures that you would normally do.
Oh, yeah.
So students are now, a student said, I'm kneeling down in my tile kitchen because that's the only place I can watch Mass. Normally I wouldn't kneel on the ground because it hurts. But now I have to kneel in front of a screen, and watching the faith of their parents change. My college student is kneeling in front of a screen to watch Mass. They're standing listening to the gospel. It's just beautiful to watch that sort of ministry transformation of how we're going about doing this. We've even gotten. We've even gotten.
I think that's a word. I think that's a word. So you're doing that. That encouragement to help people to pray at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Normally you'd be in a church. Normally there'd be a kneeler. There'd be a hymnal.
Right. So a student sent me a picture of the shrine that they built in front of their TV. Okay, I talked to a student today, and they have theirs on a wheeled cart. It's a table. It's maybe a table, like a serving table that has wheels on it. And so they wheel it around the house, their little prayer corner, and they put it different places. So they put it on their front porch. They put it on their back porch. They put it in front of their TV at Sunday Mass. They put it next to where they're doing their homework. They just move their table all around. And so several students are doing stuff like that. They're coming up with creative ways to do life and to grow in their relationship with Jesus and increase their faith even when away at school. How are you helping okay, so the group of people I've been thinking of is the elderly. The elderly,
yeah.
For example, just last Sunday I was driving to St. John to celebrate Mass at 10 a.m. online. And some people who obviously don't have social media or the internet were showing up.
Yep.
And I said, there's no Mass. And then I realized they were elderly, so I had to drive over and
Yep.
kept my 20-foot distance.
And then yell, "There's no mass!"
And they're like,
I'm 6 feet away from you and still yelling.
Yeah.
So I think our biggest challenges from a communication standpoint have been people who are not well connected. And then also our second challenge has been just communicating in Spanish. And so trying to, whatever we put out in English, we're putting out in Spanish.
Oh yeah.
And that's difficult. That's difficult to do, partially because I'm 90% more articulate in English than I am in Spanish. And then our staff is not really there. I mean, much of our staff is working from home, and those who are coming into the office, it's for a few hours there and a few hours here. So with our older population, a lot of them rely their way of staying in touch with what's going on in the parish is the paper bulletin. And it's one of the reasons we still print a paper bulletin. I mean, I've heard of parishes who have said, like, we're going to, save money, or we're going to push everybody online. And we've not done that out of deference to some people still want that bulletin. They go home and they read it, kind of like the newspaper. We still get a newspaper at our house. And I sit down and I read it every day. I read the Tulsa World, I read the Stillwater News Press, see what's going on in the world. I could read all of that online, but I choose not to. So with our older population, we did that first weekend when there was not the public celebration of the Mass. We had a few people who showed up at the normal times and like, oh, I didn't know. And one guy, he said to me, why didn't you announce it last weekend?
Really?
Why didn't you tell us last weekend that there wasn't going to be Mass? And we didn't know that. The order from our bishop came out, I think it was a Wednesday. So midweek, we blast out on Flocknote, email, social media, phone calls.
And he doesn't have any of those.
And so it's not. So on my part, I mean, I was a little, I guess, just being honest, kind of frustrated. But it's not his fault. It's not his doing. But this frustration, my frustration, like over the last 2 years since I've been here, I mean, kind of constantly putting in front of people, hey, please sign up for this. Please register as a parishioner. Please, sign up for Flocknote. Please follow us on social media, and giving people, several options.
Yeah, exactly.
And then those options still don't get the word out. It's just that's been kind of discouraging. So we now have a list, and if you're listening to this and you know someone who should be on this list, we now have people we call every Friday and tell them, here's what's going on this weekend.
Because you do it the old-fashioned way.
Well, yeah.
Ma Bell.
Yeah. And we've sent, we called every parishioner, but there's a lot of parishioners who we don't have phone numbers for, despite, sort of numerous efforts to kind of get everybody.
Exactly.
So communication has definitely been both a strength. I mean, I think we're hearing from people like, hey, you're doing a good job. Keep up the good work. We're really staying in touch. Thank you we're kind of front loading people with information.
Because you're trying to get out to 1,100 people.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of people in 2 languages, and young and old, and then also not bombarding people, 3 times a day with an email. Those first couple days, we did an email every day, and then now it's more of a, every 3 or 4 days as things change.
Correct.
So that's definitely been a challenge, but we're just trying to do as much as we can online. So I've just been doing a little Facebook check-in every morning with a little nugget of wisdom, just helping people try to get through it. And then our biggest thing, and I think this has been a good success for those who have engaged in it, is just giving people a regular schedule. So we're doing morning prayer at 8 o'clock, Mass at noon, Rosary at 7 p.m., giving people some
normalcy,
some structure in their day. What's been the response? You're doing some videos. You're going Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Yeah. So
seems like people are responding.
Was this, I don't know, a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, you and I were just chatting, and we were chatting about how we could get stuff out to different people. And then you just said something, and it just started this snowball. It was like the dynamiting of the avalanche, and it just started snowballing. I was like, okay, we could do this. And I got students involved, and I said, hey, would you be interested in being the content director? And they're like, what's a content director? And I said, the content director.
You stole that from Bishop Barron.
Bishop Barron.
He's got a guy who does all that.
And I said, the contract director is to help guide my thought, bring other people's ideas, and also keep me from saying something real stupid. And they're like, oh, okay, I can do that. So on one video, the student was like,
Father Kerry walking around campus talking about Jesus, take 17.
I was surprised. It usually takes one or two takes. That's it.
Yeah, after that, it kind of gets unnatural. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just rolling it.
Yeah, you want it to be natural. And so where can people find that?
So they can go to Catholic Pokes Everything. CatholicPokes.com, Catholic Pokes on Twitter, Catholic Pokes on Instagram, Catholic Pokes on Facebook. And then there is these are all platforms that we give out to students. And then there's our in-house GroupMe, which is with the in-house GroupMe.
Explain what a GroupMe is.
A GroupMe is where you sign people up for these things, and you could do this amongst your friends.
Text.
Yeah, so it's an app you download, and then it's a message that gets put out as a text message to people.
Yeah.
Shows up on their phone as a GroupMe message or in their GroupMe file. Some college students have 25 or 30 GroupMes from different classes, study groups, stuff like that. So they're starting to eliminate those. And so we send ours out to about 300 students on GroupMe.
That's great. How do they get on that if someone's listening?
So if somebody's listening and they want to get on that, call me. Every college student has my number. And if you don't have my number...
We're not putting it out on the radio.
I know. 588-2300 Empire. Yes, so that's not my number. That's Empire.
Just call Gallery 694-5570. Gallery Furniture.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You asked people if you're a real Houstonian. So students can text me, and that's been happening. Students are calling me, and they want to get in touch. So just ask another student for my number, and then you can get it really easily.
So then you also, you told me the other day you're seeing a lot of kids' parents,
right,
kind of engaged with it.
That is
something you maybe weren't expecting.
Right. As parents don't come to Stillwater too often to see their kids, and sometimes they do, and it's just for a couple hours, like Mom's Day, Dad's Day, a sporting event. So now they're seeing what we do because Sunday night we have catechesis, and we had 500 people watching, of which about 75 stayed for the whole time. And so these parents got to see what their students are doing. And so even like Sunday Mass, there's this student that lives in Nazareth, Texas. And the parish in Nazareth, Texas, I don't think had a broadcast of Mass. So what did they do? They watched us online. A family from Rhode Island was watching us online. A family from California was and that's where their students are from.
I like that.
They're from all over the country and around the world, and so they're tuning in to St. John, 10 a.m. Sunday morning for Holy Mass, and they're watching it with their family.
Wow.
And it's beautiful because then the parents get to see what we're doing, where their financial support, because we're a parent, alumni, student supported center.
What's been interesting, I've had a few people say on Sunday morning, they, you live in a place, and so hopefully you go to the church. That's your parish.
In your jurisdiction,
But now, how many options are there on Sunday morning? Let's see, do I want, if you want high production value and super good preaching, all right, I'm going to watch, Bishop Robert Barron.
Yeah, right.
If I want, I want to do the Pope Francis Mass today.
I want St. Peter's Basilica.
Yeah,
boom, Pope Francis.
You got it. But then you also have I'm tired of my priest, or our parish is ugly, or I'm gonna go. Let's check out this church. So we've had. I know we both have had people hey, I'm following from London, England. It's okay.
Oh, yep.
All right, sweet.
Yep.
Is there not a church in London that you could follow? So I think it's both. There's a little bit of that kind of church
right,
shopping
sure.
that happens, and I think that's just. I think for the first couple weeks, people are just kind of feeling it out. But then there's also, I think, kind of production value. I know a lot of parishes who had no live streaming at all, no social media presence, and now suddenly had to, and so struggled with sound issues,
right?
Or the whole mass is vertical instead of horizontal.
What was the one? It was in France or Italy where the priest he was trying
he had
to
the filters on.
and
he's up there like, and now my in Italian, my dear brothers and sisters, as we begin this mass, and there's like a dog nose on his face and like a Star Wars helmet on his head. And it's like, okay, this guy has never.
Yeah.
Either he did it on purpose, which would kind of be brilliant, and just acted like it wasn't, because then it got his parish a lot of attention.
Yes, exactly.
Or it, he didn't. He
had no clue.
He pushed the wrong button and off it went.
Yeah, I one of the things I want to see is like an outtakes captions of people celebrating mass, because they go up and they're like they hit the button and they got all these strange faces. They're like just kind of squinting at the iPad or the camera, or is this thing on? How do I know it's on?
So people are really getting
comical outtakes
at the end of our. We're doing morning prayer at 8 o'clock, mass at noon, and the rosary at 7, and sometimes Father Robert and I are kind of rotating back and forth who's doing what, and then there's times when we're doing it by ourselves, and there's times when we're doing it together, but at the end it's always like my finger, like my huge finger, at the screen trying to like turn it off, and then I hit the. Anyway, you're getting a good feel for like the tips of my fingers up close.
Hope somebody doesn't steal your fingerprint.
They better not.
And then sell it.
But there's that option on a Sunday morning. But then I've also found, and then I think this has been true, just talking to other priests, I think people also want the familiar. So your college students are in, every state in the union and countries around the world. But where's kind of their spiritual home? And it's St. John Catholic Student Center. And they want to see that. They want to see you. They want to see Mass being celebrated in that place that's so important to them. So as much as, again, Bishop Barron, is like this awesome production value, and he's getting, 50 and 60,000 people a day watching daily Mass.
What?
Which is awesome.
Wow.
But then you're like, but I don't know him. I don't know. It is the Mass and it's beautiful.
Right.
But I think there's that sense of the familiar, and I think that's only going to get stronger.
Yes.
The longer this goes on.
Yeah, but in reality, 50 or 60,000 people watching Mass is a drop in the bucket of how many people go to Mass every day.
Yeah, so usually there's, I think, 20 million people go to Mass every week, every weekend.
Every weekend?
Yeah.
In the United States?
Yeah. I think it's something like 15 to 20 million.
Well, that's a lot of people.
Something like that. I know that from my cousin who makes the hosts.
Oh, really?
The Kavanagh Company.
That's your cousin?
He married my cousin. Andy Kavanagh married my cousin Maura.
Oh.
And they make the hosts. And
right,
I'll have to see what the latest stats are. But
okay.
I think it's something like they make like 20 million hosts a week.
And they're probably not making 20 million hosts right now.
Oh, no.
They're shut down.
Oh, yeah.
They're just
I bet they're not shut down, but like they're maybe trying to building a stockpile for when people come back.
Whoa.
I'll have to ask them what that looks like. Because we cut back on our Palm Sunday order. We've cut back on our. If we don't have Easter Mass, right now when we're recording this, we're still planning to have Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Easter here in the Diocese of Tulsa. But if we don't, I'm canceling our Lily order. We're not going to need, a bajillion flowers on Easter Sunday.
You can get some.
We can get some.
Yeah.
But palm, we cut our palm order in half.
No, I may come over and steal some from you.
Don't touch my palms.
It's not stealing when you take it from your friend's church, right? Is that true?
You have.
Whoa!
What church are you referring to?
I'm referring to St. Francis Xavier.
Church.
I said my friend's church.
Oh.
Yeah, you. Yeah.
Who? Guthrie? Ponca City? What?
No, not those. Yours. Stealing from yours.
So we just, we encourage people to really try to engage as much as you can online. I know it's not easy. I know it's not the best. But I love the little graphic that came out several weeks ago.
Is that from Sioux Falls?
From where was
the one from Sioux Falls. Is it with the blue and white squares, the colors,
Sioux
the colors
Falls.
of the diocese?
Yeah, and it said, create a prayer altar, set up chairs like a pew,
Ooh.
open your Bible to the gospel of the day, get dressed as you normally would when attending Mass.
Yes.
And I saw some people send us pictures, and literally, everyone, they're dressed up in their living room, nice dresses, and the boys in suits. I loved that. Because it sends a message. I think parents for your children sends a message. This is important. We are going to Mass, and we're just not there. So I thought that was a good. If you have holy water in your home, light a candle. Engage in the community by having coffee and breakfast after Mass, calling your loved ones to connect.
Good. Those are all good things.
Yeah, no, it's very smart, but I know it's not easy. So I think for parents, I had somebody say we had Mass in our living room and we still managed to be late. I love that.
They were still the clothes still didn't get on in time. We still fought
on the way to Mass,
and it was down the stairs. I want to ride a sleeping bag down the stairs to Mass. No.
And then there were other people sent pictures where legit kids in pajamas, kneeling, before their television.
Yeah, there's some beautiful opportunities to teach our parishioners, college students, and even for families at home to teach their children about the Holy Mass, about
what's happening.
I've had more
Mass.
Conversations about the Eucharist in the last month.
About toilet paper?
No, the Eucharist, the Holy Eucharist.
Oh, I've had lots of conversations about
everything, like
hand sanitizer, and toilet paper.
But a lot of really beautiful conversations about the Holy Eucharist in the last 7 to 10 days that I've had in 6 or 8 months.
Yeah.
A year or two.
I'm so excited for when we get back to Mass. People are going to I don't know. I feel like everyone's going to be hugging and...
Yes. Everybody's going to turn to...
The sign of peace is going to take 12 minutes.
I love you. I love you.
But yeah, we'll have to kind of subdue that. But I think that day, whenever that is, for us right now, it's Holy Thursday when we'll be back. But I don't know if that's wishful thinking or
yeah.
But people are going to, I think it'll be really beautiful once we get back to being able to receive the Eucharist regularly.
Yes.
It'll be different for us, better, certainly way better for us. So just so you know, when we're celebrating Mass on your screen, it's good. Jesus is there. He's truly present, body, blood, soul, and divinity. But the Mass wasn't meant for just the priest standing at the altar. It can be done that way, but it's meant to be
especially for the parish world.
Yes.
Yes, the parish world.
Yeah.
The Eucharist is there to feed the people of God on this journey, to give them life. That's what in the gospel on Thursday, it says, Jesus says, "You do not seek me because you do not want life." And then the next chapter over, he uses the word life on John chapter 6 14 times.
I've came that they may
have life. And he says, unless you want life, you have to eat my flesh and drink. So that life. I encourage people to go and read John chapter 6 at least this week. Ooh. Go and read it. And then if you can read it in the Greek, because of the way go back and listen to our talk, our podcast about the Eucharist.
I think that was over last summer.
Yeah. I think it was episode 46 and 47.
Whatever.
Oh, I don't know.
He has no idea.
I have no idea. I'm just making stuff up now. Go back and read John chapter 6 and spend time with it at least once a week to really fire up that soul, your heart that longs for life with Jesus.
So just continue to be patient. We're trying out here. We're trying to give you the best that we can of this kind of online ministry, and I hope it's been good for many of you. We'd encourage you to keep passing it on to other people, your friends who maybe are feeling isolated, not connected. Send them the links and send them the videos and just to keep encouraging. And it's going to be over soon. We're kind of in the desert, but I think we're heading in a good direction, I hope.
It's a really weird Lent.
That's, as I said the other day, it's the lentiest Lent ever.
Amen, brother.
All right, we're out of here. Keep listening. Keep
Pastors
praying
of
for
Payne.
us, and we'll see you next week.
God bless you.
Have a great day.